Hello, hello, hello. It's your friendly neighborhood professional photographer, Kareem Black. This is going to be a short one today. And I hope that you're not disappointed by this, but it's because the subject is very, very close to flawless, and I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I'll be retouching and telling some stories about Zazie Beetz, obviously from Atlanta and from Deadpool, and about to be in Deadpool 3. She's such an interesting person, so obviously gorgeous, very talented, but I shot her, I want to say in 2018, and this was right before Deadpool. And I was the kind of person, I didn't have any access, or I didn't have any exposure to Atlanta. And so I was coming into this sort of blank slate. I didn't really know who she was, you know? I just knew that she was about to be in a Marvel movie, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see how, I want to say not constricted, but if you're about to be a huge celebrity, then the chances are that your management is not going to let you do really interesting and innovative stuff on set. I mean, I think that sort of the IP needs to be protected that way. You want to make sure that you are going to be, just a viable commodity in the future. So I was sort of nervous because she's about to be a celebrity, and I knew that she'd probably be like very careful about what she would do on set. I was pleasantly surprised that, she's an amazing person, amazing artist, and totally down to experiment. And, she was sort of self-deprecating, and that's the best. Hold on, let me turn my phone off. I want to show you a couple of the images that we will not be doing, but so you can get the idea of what I'm sort of talking about. So here's an image of Zazie, like it's totally lo-fi, totally her on, flash on camera on a painted wall. We shot in Brooklyn. We will not be doing this one. None of these images I'm about to show you are retouched. It's kind of a no-no, but I don't think that there's much retouching that needs to happen, Another one. And you know me, I love these sort of like in-between shots. Like I often think that the shots are the shots that are in between the shots, right? She's, she's probably saying to me right here, what do I do with these shoes? Should I wear them? Should I not? And I just sort of like this moment, We're photographers. We're all about capturing moments. I feel like we're not about, look, this is what I'm about. I won't speak for all our photographers, but we're not about making, the beautiful people more beautiful. And sometimes that does happen, but it's sort of like, look, how can I make an interesting sort of moment, or how can I capture an interesting moment? And that's sort of what I like what I like here. It's sort of, just caught a little bit off guard and like, wait, what? What was said over there? That kind of thing. I just think it's a genuine moment. And I think that it's a little bit, not a celebrity in a way where it's not sort of, oh, I'm so sure, I'm so tough, I'm so beautiful. Like there's a question in her eye, what's going on here? All that explanation for absolutely nothing. I told you I'm going to have to apologize to you guys a couple times today. This is another shot that we won't be working on, but I do think that, you know what I'm going to do? At some point, I will end up retouching like all these shots and like going into deeper detail about all of these. But I just wanted to show you these so you can get an idea of like what the energy was on set and just sort of what kind of person she was, and how completely willing she was to collaborate. At the same time, very strong person, very strong sense of self, and she's not gonna do anything that she don't want to do. But the best shoots are sort of when people's visions coalesce and meet in the middle, and who knows what can happen after that. I mean, maybe you might be in front of old Renaissance painting of somebody's butt, you know. There are other pictures I have of her sort of interacting with the butt. And I don't know, it was just a really good day. It was a day that, you know, these kind of shoots are the kind of shoots that, you know, we as photographers that we dream of. Before we get started, one more story about Zazie, which I found to be really interesting, and it was the first sign that when I knew that this is going to be an amazing shoot. So when she walked in, she just walks in. First of all, she's in a huge show, Atlanta. She's not from Atlanta, the city. She's in a huge show called Atlanta. And when she walked in, it was just sort of her and her makeup artist. It's always a great sign when, like, people in the industry are not accompanied by a huge entourage. I thought that was absolutely amazing. And at some point, maybe before or during the shoot, we got into a conversation about the fact that she is about to be in a Marvel movie, you know, or Marvel adjacent. You know, it's not part of the MCU, but you know what I mean. She's going to be in Deadpool 2. And her whole thing was, you know, she really loves her privacy. She really loves her private life. She's an artist. And, you know, in my head, and we spoke about this, she's about to be in a Marvel movie. Like, your privacy is not going to be something that exists much anymore. This conversation's happening in 2018, and it's very interesting talking now in 2023, seeing is that she has seemed to maintain her privacy, but on set in 2018, when I was speaking to her, it was like, wow, like, you value your privacy, but you're about to be one of the biggest stars or in one of the biggest movies this year, you know, and sort of that tension between Zazie, the private person, the sort of insightful, sort of quiet, brilliant artist that I saw on set, and maybe her character Domino, or just, you know, the Zazie that existed post Deadpool. I think that dichotomy was so interesting. It's interesting when I see her on screen today. I think about those conversations that we had. I knew when we had that conversation and just how genuine it was, and not sort of like Hollywood sort of gossip banter. I knew that we were going to have a good shoot. This is one of my favorite shoots. I'm very sorry to interrupt. Okay, back to our program. Now this is the image that we're going to be working on today. And interesting story. This is where we were shooting. I think it was called Acme, Brooklyn, and it was sort of a photo studio, but it was more of a space with like a lot of props. There was like a fake horse there. It was like a, you know, fish on the wall. Our shoot was pretty minimal. We didn't use a lot of that stuff, but this shot right here was in the garage, the parking garage, and it was completely unplanned. And we just kind of walked out. She walked out. She's so cool. She walked out with her bare feet. But the heels, like, she kept the heels sort of like, you know, in the shot. She's walking with the heels. And I just think it's weird. I think it's deconstructed. I think that the parking lot / garage is dirty. There's like, I love the imperfection. If you know anything about me, you know that I love that. So this brings me back to my original point. Like, I don't know if there's a lot that I will actually do with this image, you know, because I want the image. I always want our images. I always want my images, not our images. You can do whatever you want with your images. I want my images to speak for themselves. Like, I'm not a big special effects guy. I'm not a big sort of bells and whistles guy. And, you know, like I was speaking about before, I love this moment, right? So, let's see what we can do. First step is always, as I always say, is we're going to do our frequency separation, right? So it doesn't look any different, and it shouldn't, but that basically separates our layers into texture and skin. If I zoom in, this is where we're at, and I can, first of all, I see our first challenge, right? But if you take texture off, you can see it's a smoother layer underneath, which is the skin, which is usually where you retouch. But so I can see our first mistake, right? Well, not mistake, but first sort of challenge in the image. I'm pretty sure that I shot this with like a 5D Mark III. I'm not sure. Either way, I do remember when we went into the garage, I didn't bring the lights from the studio. I think that these are the fluorescent lights from the garage. And so I see a little bit of camera shake there, right? That's a little bit. She's a little soft. So let me see. I want to see if this image is at all sort of recoverable. First of all, when it's zoomed fully out, like, you can't really tell. And to be honest, I'd be comfortable with that happening. But I want to see how much we can actually stretch this image here. Like, what will this image take? So I'm doubling up on the texture the texture layer. And you see how it sort of accentuates the details. I am now positive that I shot this with a 5D Mark III. If I shot this with Sony AR7 III, then it would take a little bit better to the doubling of the texture layer. So what I'm going to end up doing in the end is I'm probably going to end up making the texture layer, bring it down to maybe a 41% opacity, and then just be satisfied with it being viewed at this range. I actually might bring it down to to maybe 20, yeah, maybe 29. That looks about right. Okay, cool. So that's our first test. I'm going to throw out the duplicate texture layer, but the first test was sort of like, okay, how much can we sort of jury rig this image because it's a little soft, right? Now let's see what we do here. Like I told you, I'm going to disappoint you on this one. There's not too much for us to do, but let me make a double of the skin layer. Our goal is, we always want to, we're going to change the image, but we're not going to destroy it. So it's in our best interest. It's weird, I can't talk today. It's in our best interest to sort of lay a path of breadcrumbs, which it's basically, we will make a duplicate of the layers that we want to alter, so that if we fuck up, we will have an existing layer where it's like, okay, cool, I can start from the beginning. If it becomes like too far back in history for like our history function to have recorded it. And all I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my trusty clone stamp. We're on just 8% opacity. Very soft. Very, very soft. Very soft. And we're just going to kind of make these colors a little bit more consistent. You know, we don't want to... I think it's going to be easier to fuck this up than to make it better, if that makes sense. I feel like it's very, very close to what we're trying to be, You'll notice that I turned on the texture layer. I had it off before. I turned on the texture layer, but I'm still working on the layer below it, the skin layer. And I'm just kind of, just very, very, very gently and slightly, we're talking about a scalpel. We're talking about more of a Q-tip. I was about to say we're talking about a scalpel, not a hammer. We're talking about a Q-tip. And we're just sort of, anything that's sort of sharp or jagged, we're just trying to smooth those out just a bit. Again, we're not trying to, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, we're not trying to make everything sort of porcelain smooth or perfect. I hate that. I think that as photographers, my philosophy is we are documenting, but we are creators in a way. We're obviously creators, but we're also documentarians, and I think that it depends on the photographer, to determine, it's his or her choice to determine where they end up on that sort of in that gamut. It's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Like, are you a straight documentarian, or are you an artist where it's like, you know, you are sort of going more towards photo illustration? Me, I want things to look real. I lived this moment. This is one of my favorite shoots. This is one of my favorite shoots I've ever done, especially back from, you know, that time. And I think that why would I want to change it? Like, why would I want to sort of alter and manipulate my memory? Look, I mean, it might be a little selfish, but you know, we're artists. We become attached to these moments, and I really don't want to go too far from this moment, even though I have the ability with, you know, Photoshop to make this into something completely new in the photo illustration realm. This is the last thing that I think that I'll do here. Now again, there are multiple different ways to do all of this stuff. I think that I have more control doing it in with the clone stamp and through frequency separation. But if you're working on larger areas, you can go into the layer underneath this one and sort of, you know what? I'll show you. So I'm going to go into my lasso tool, and let's do maybe a 12-degree feather, because we're dealing with a very small area. Let's go into the skin copy. Actually, we're still working in the skin copy, but we can see everything. Texture copy is enabled. And what I'm looking for is, you see where these colors, you see where these colors sort of jaggedly separate here? I'm looking for those areas. So I'm looking sort of right here. I'm looking sort of right here. Maybe a little right here. Look, it's all a preference. It's all a preference. Maybe a little right there. Maybe a little right here. This is sort of where colors are. The blending is not as soft as I would sort of prefer. I don't want everything to be perfect, but you know, we're working on, you know, maybe there is a shadow I don't like. You know, I might be fighting my previous point. We are sort of photo illustrators at some level, all of us, but especially when things go into Photoshop. But I'm on the end of the spectrum where I want to keep it more real. You know me, I keep it real. I want to keep it more real than a lot of people, you know. I don't think that we're in serious trouble. I think I'm gonna do a little something to her foot, but we'll see. But let's work on the, ooh, you know what? You guys are right. I want to do this too. There we are. You see that little, it's like, it's not jagged, but I just want to finesse it just a bit. It's okay. We're going to go to our filters, go to our blur, and we do a really super soft Gaussian blur. I mean, this is all about finesse. It says 7, but let's see what happens if we put it on like an 8 Gaussian blur. No, you know what? It's going to be 7.1. There we are. Now, the changes that we're making are so minute that you might not see too much of a difference. But let me show you what we've changed and where we're at. This is the layer that we just worked on off, and this is the layer that we just worked on. And I think that we're starting to We're starting to get somewhere. Just very slight. Just very slight. You know, be gentle. Be gentle. When the Gaussian blur... You know what? Here's the thing. If we're dealing in, you know, Photoshop, we're dealing with like AI, whatever. The one thing that the computers can't do that we can always do, and I think that will always be better than the computers and Skynet with this, is randomization. I think that the human hand, the human mind can... Computers think in patterns. They're really good at mimicking patterns and maybe mimicking, you know, millions of patterns where it looks randomized, but all they're doing is there is an algorithm, there's a pattern. There's no inspiration. There's no sort of... There's nothing that makes human art... Computers are not making human art. Computers are making art based on ones and zeros, and you can argue with me in the comments, and there's some people who may not be able to tell the difference, but as long as you're working on an algorithm, it's not random. It's not random because you're working from patterns, you know? So I think that the remedy is with things like this. I hope she doesn't kill me for like showing her feet. Her feet are fucking amazing, by the way. I'm not even a foot guy, but like these are great feet. I think that what I try and do is... my philosophy is that humans... we sort of work on patterns. We work with what's familiar to us, obviously, but since we are imperfect, our patterns will be significantly, I mean, you know, millions of times more randomized than any computer will ever be able to comprehend. And I really believe that. And I think that that's what gives us our edge, you know? You can fight me in the comments. You can fight me in the comments about that. Now, again, these feet are such small details in what we're about to do, but you know what? I do think that details matter. I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to get rid of some shadows that I found to be a little weird, and now this is sort of where we stand. The second set that I do is do some sort of global brightness contrast, and this is about the entire scene. It's like, look, what flavor? What's the flavor that the scene is gonna have? The overall flavor, right? I like that. I like sort of where we're going. I think that, you know, you start out with the global mode, like I say, like, you know, Leonardo da Vinci would always say that within his block of marble, there was marble. There was the sculpture. He just had to get rid of the extra pieces. That's something I think about all the time, and I say even more. And so I start out with the block, but then I start to sort of I start to use tools that are more and more precise, right? More and more precise. Now I kind of like the way that feels, especially this. Look at this glow on her skin. Look at that. You know what we're going to do later. We're going to emphasize that just a little bit. I come from a painting background, and so like I like to sort of in Photoshop it'd be called dodging and burning, kind of. But my point is, it's sort of, I like to take little bits and pieces and kind of manipulate them separately, which is another thing that I think that computers are really bad at. They're like, okay, well, this is this bright, so I'm gonna interact with it this way, and you know, these sort of things. But I'm like, look, these are highlights that I see in her hair, and I just wanna see if we can, she's got this big, beautiful fro. Let's show it to people, right? Let's show it to people. Let's do these highlights, right? I make my highlights. got my curves, make a little curve adjustment layer, and just these little highlights. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? Now again, I could have done that to her entire beautiful fro, but I want to go back in and do some different parts, right? And just give that a little bit of a different treatment, right? I'm gonna do the same thing. And my curves. Just a little, you know, I mean, this is real gentle shit, ladies and gentlemen. And now what I'm going to do is just a little bit of a different way to put our highlights in our hair, right? So I'm going to do something like that. I don't know if this is going to work, by the way. I do not know if this is going to work. And we make an adjustment layer out of our color balance. And we don't do our midtones, we do our highlights. And we're like, okay, cool. We're just going to make our highlights a little orange. It's just a preference. It's just a preference. I kind of like that. I think that sort of brings these... I think it makes her hair a little bit more three-dimensional, you know? I might even... Here, you know what I'm going to do? You guys know how greedy I am. I'm going to do this again. There's a little bit wider feather. We're going to do our color balance again. We're going to go to our highlights again and make this a little blue. Just a little, it's just a preference. Be careful, be careful. All right. Again, I think that the secret to retouching is these tippy toe actions that we take, you know? Now, I love the entire scope. I love the scope. I love the fact that she is small in the frame. But I say, let's give her a little sort of spotlight here. Yeah. So we make our big old selection with a 1,000 pixel feather. And I think, here's the thing. Like I said, in Photoshop, there's a lot of different ways to do things. I'm about to make a, what's it called? Not a silhouette. Oh my god, the word totally escapes me. But I'm gonna make the edges darker, and therefore putting a highlight on our subject. And some people, there is a function to do this, but you know, again, I like sort of doing it. I like doing it manually. I'm like, all right, cool. You want to know why? Because it is imperfect. Now, what mistake did we make? What mistake did we make? We are going to go back in time. We have our selection, and what we need to do, the mistake that we made, is we need to select inverse so that everything in the middle is unselected and will remain where it's supposed to be, where we've worked on it, and just the outside will... There we are. I think that brings the attention onto our subject. My God, could you leave something in the comments and tell me what that's... What is it? It's not a silhouette. It is a... God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's an even worse mistake than forgetting the word that I was trying to remember. Okay. Well, there we are. I'm going to take our overall global curves and just lighten everything up. I'm going to take our darkness around the outside. I'm going to put it on top of everything. And I like what's happening here. Now, here's something that I usually do, going back to the global mode of doing everything. I usually start with, I'll do a black and white layer, and then I will adjust the opacity down. There we are. To maybe 12. Another way of doing this is adjusting your saturation, but For some reason, I like to do it like that, with the black and white layer. I think that we are almost there. I want to add a little bit of... environment. Not environment, a little bit of vibe. Let's say something like that. I do not know if this is going to work, but let's try it. I sort of love this pink pantsuit that she's wearing. I want to go to sort of a mid-tone of it. I just want to sample that color. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to take my old paint bucket and dump it all over that thing, right? Now you're going to say to me, Kareem, you've made a horrible mistake. I don't know, maybe I have. I'm going to go into this option here where it says normal. I don't know what it's called. I think it's like a dissolve option. And I'm going to see if there's something that we can do in these overlays. It's weird. Overlay might be our best option. To sort of just give this a little bit of environment. Let me go to overlay and see what's up. Let's see, screen darker. Let me try that, and then I'm going to go to our opacity and just kind of drop this down to 12. I find that sort of putting either solid color or some sort of a transparent overlay over an image adds sort of an environment to it. Doesn't work all the time. I go back to my brightness contrast, make this a little darker, and you guys will see what I'm doing in a second. We make everything a little bit darker, but in the long run, it is to make our subject stand out, right? So, okay, how are we going to do that? We're going to go to our feather option. We're going to go to about 30 and let the image tell you what to do. We don't have to force these things. I'm just going to where there are highlights on her and her jacket. Just going to where there are highlights and making my own selections. They do not have to be perfect. And there should be a feather on it. They don't have to be perfect. Actually, you know what? My intuition says that one's a mistake because it's on her arm that it's more in the background than her front shoulder here. And so what I'm going to do is put a curve on that. Ooh. Everybody calm down. I said slight curve. Don't hurt him. I think that is where we're trying to be. Let me see. Let's see. I think I may want... Hold on, let's see. I think I may want a bigger... You know what? I'm going to throw these curves out. And I think that I want a bigger feather. We got a 30 feather. Let's go to a 43 feather. And just do the spots that are closest to us, which in the human mind will make her more three-dimensional. It'll bring these spots closer to us in our brains. Now we've got our 43 feather. We do our curve. Let's be gentle. I think that we're okay there. I'm going to go down to I want to say a 10 feather. I hope that's not too small. I want to do a 10 feather. And again, we're letting this image tell us what to do. We've got a really amazing highlight on our cheekbone. Again, we are Q-tips right now. We are not machetes. We are scalpels. And we are just very, very, very gently putting highlights on our girl. I think this word starts with an O, where it's a vignette! It's a vignette! Why am I forgetting this? And why did I think that was starting with an O? It's a vignette. I'm going back to our vignette layer and just doing that. I'm just putting a little bit more of the highlight on our main protagonist. Now I think that we're almost done. I think we're almost done. If you can look very, very closely on her back and on all of the parts of her that are facing to the left side, you can see that there's a little bit of a red highlight. And you can see it in other frames that I've done here, but in the upper right hand of the frame, there's a fluorescent light that makes this red highlight. And I'm like, you know what? Visually, it reads as a red highlight, and visually it makes more sense when you can see the neon sign that's in the upper right hand corner. But you know what? I'm like, you know what? Let's see if we can't let the image lead us a little bit more and be like, you know, I'm going to help that out just a little bit. And you're going to say, Kareem, this is you getting greedy. And you know what? You guys might be right, but let's get greedy. Let's get greedy. We're photographers. If it don't work, that's why we sort of have the history button. We can go back. This ain't acrylics. This is oil, you know. We can kind of go and do this as much as our heart's desire. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm just gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna go to our color balance. Let's just add some red in the midtones. Let's add some red in the highlight. I don't mind that. Let's make our selection just a little bit bigger. Now this is a selection that we are doing our sort of neon highlight on. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. We're just gonna drag it over a little bit to that side. We can see where it's selected when we go onto this layer right here. It's the top layer. And there we go. Look at that. I like that. I like that bit of atmosphere that we made. I want to do one more thing. You're going to say, Kareem, you're getting greedy. I'm going to say, you're goddamn right I'm getting greedy. This is my work. I get obsessed. We're artists. We should be obsessed with our work. I'm going to put just a little bit of blue down here. Just a little. It's just a preference. You know how it is. You know how it be. I'm going to go to my color balance. Just give me a little bit of... You know what? I don't know if that looks good. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Now this looks okay. I like this. I really, really like this. That's cool. Alright, cool. There is a little bit of... Okay, now I'm legit greedy. I'm legit greedy. This is the last thing I do, I promise. I want to see if I can bring the details in this pile of wood out just a bit. Because it's so, like... I mean, I guess you do put wood in the garage? I don't know. I grew up in Philadelphia. I don't think we had a garage. I just want to see if I can... bring these highlights out. Okay, everybody calm down. You know what? The answer is no. And when you guys yelled at me before saying, Kareem, you're getting so greedy, you guys were absolutely right. Where's my blue? Is that my blue? I'm going to move this down just a bit. So I'm going to do my transform. I'm just going to drag this down just a little bit. Now my layers are all out of whack, but I'm not mad at that. Remember at the beginning when I was like, hey, this is a little soft in the face? I'm just going to double up on this texture layer because in the beginning, I know that we can. I know that image is going to hold together for us. And I'm just going to bring this this double texture layer down to about 29. And I think, hot damn, hold on. Hot damn, that's sexy. Maybe bring this texture copy down a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the first time that I noticed that her tongue is doing that. So sexy. But I like what we've done to this. We did not do a lot, and I think that that's the moral of the story. You don't have to overwork your images. I think that this does not take away from the moment. I think it just adds some, like, you know, a little bit of garnish, a little bit of seasoning. To be honest, the image was great with nothing on it, which is one of the reasons that I really liked it and where I really liked the shoot. I think that we did some great work in that session, great collaboration. But, you know, just a little bit of garnish. You know, if you go too far, then you go too far, you know, and I think that part of being an artist is sensing when you've gone too far. But, you know, I kind of like the garnish here. Why don't you leave a comment and let me know what you think. Let me know if you would have done anything differently. Let me know how you would have done anything that I did differently. And until next time, God damn, I'm not mad at this one. This is your friendly neighborhood professional photographer, Kareem Black, signing off. Don't forget to like and comment. I'm trying to grow this community. I'm trying to grow this channel, and it'd be really helpful to me. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you the next time, alright? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It was just a little bit of color work. I'm going to show you the before and after so you see where we've come from and where we have ended up. And here it is. So here's the finished copy and the original copy. You know, we did color work, we did some atmospheric stuff, we didn't do any body stuff, we did a little bit of skin stuff, but at the end of the day, I think that we're blessed with the fact that we started out with something that I was really confident with. You know, I like the photo as it came to me, as it came out of the camera, and you know me, I'm that kind of guy. I'm going to stick close to what we started with. I think that I'm going to do a couple more images from this shoot so I can show you sort of how different setups in a shoot can be worked on differently, can have different color treatments and just different treatments in general applied to them. But with this image, I think that we ended up in a really good place. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this community. I will talk to you guys in a little bit, and hope you enjoyed.